Jessica is back. Jessica Flores is back, everybody. Jessica, I had an agenda. I had things I wanted to talk about. Emails went out, but I'm throwing it all away. Screw all of that. Jessica's back. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for that welcoming. Um,
I saw you
yeah,
come in and I was just like, I didn't even hear what Jenna, I love you. I didn't even hear what you said because I just saw Jessica come. I mean, if you feel like it, can you share what's been going on in your life? How are you? Where you been?
of course. So, I've been on maternity leave. I have a little 3-month-old Zachariah here at home, and so it's been a whirlwind of getting used to things. My oldest son's 20, and then I have a brand new newborn. So, fun stuff, fun things to get used to. Things are way different than when I was raising him. So, thank you so much. So yeah, I've been kind of gone and everything for a while and just enjoying Zachariah. He was born with Down syndrome, so we have a lot of doctor's appointments and things. And so I was able to extend my maternity leave a little bit longer than most people. And so that's been a great time though to be able to just kind of get everything situated and everything good to go. So it's been awesome. I came back to work on Friday last week and found out our whole fraud verification system was changed. So, I while I was gone, and I'm pretty much the main fraud person, but there was pricing issues and everything, and so they decided to just change everything. So, I'm learning a whole lot um, within this first couple 3 days back. So, it's been I've been looking forward to joining this. I've been wanting to do it while I was on maternity leave, but it just wasn't happening, and so it's now happening, so I'm happy to see everybody's face, and thank you so much for such a great welcome.
It means so much to me. A couple of 3 things for you, Jessica. Number 1, how dare they change the system when mama bear is out of the den? Like,
Right.
how dare they? Number 2, everybody here, can we throw up some Z's for Zachariah right there? Can we throw some Z's up, please? There we go. Get it going. There we go. All right. Great, great, great. Emma, come on. Let me see a Z for Zachariah, please. There we go. All right. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Jessica, you are always in our hearts, more so now than ever. But I'm just glad you're back in the Zoom chat with us too. So I hope to see you in all of your free time because I know that you're not busy whatsoever. We'd love to see you in the Slack or aka the Ben Lee side Slack that we've got going on because there's wild stuff going on in there. And I'd like to thank Ben. I'd like to thank Jared. I'd like to thank everybody else, Jamie, everyone who's in that Slack room because you make my life easy. I just took a topic ripped from the headlines, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So, if you're thinking about address manipulation and how to get around it, Jamie had some sort of, like, wild wizardry deal that she might be sprinkling into the conversation in a little bit. I have some ideas. I know y'all have some ideas. I'd love to show you. Jessica, I love that you just lovingly derailed this whole thing. I love being derailed in that way, so thank you for it. I have to figure out what day it is and where I am and how to change my screen here, but oh my gosh, what a beautiful
Welcome to my world, that's how I feel. No.
what is this Zoom thing again? How does it work? Well, Jessica and everybody else who isn't in the Slack room, as Jenna was alluding to, here's your QR code if you wanna jump in. Just take a picture of this, do the fun thing, and we'll get you in there. And there's like I said, there's been pretty cool stuff going on in there. I gotta keep shouting out Ben and Jared and all the others. I see some phones up. I see Jessica's phone up. Cool. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm moving on. I'll see you there. He, who, we've all been here. Address manipulation. What do you think about it? What's going on with it? Well, in my 10 minutes spent in fraud, I've come up with a couple of takeaways on this. When they put me on the witness stand, this is the kind of stuff that I would say. Let's see if it passes your sniff test. The first question, well, I like to look at it as an art form, my friends. So grab your Pinot Noir, swirl it around, see the legs coming down off the glass. Ooh, this one is a. Look at the terroir on this one. That's how much I know about wine, right? It is an art form because if I could date myself a little bit, I used to think this was super cool back in the AIM days. I know some of you did too, right? But maybe some of our, I was gonna say our fraud friends, they're not our friends, they're our foes, our fraud foes. Maybe they think they're actual artists. My grandfather used to call them artists, but it began with a B and an S. So they're BS artists, right? And maybe that's what they do for a living. Because these are some examples of manipulated addresses that we see commonly, and these are the real. Look at that last one. Um, 9 out of 10 of you, probably all of you, have that address tattooed on your eyelids, and you probably see it when you go to sleep, right? The question is, why are they doing this, right? And why are all these different like flavors there? Number one, your velocity checks. Raise a hand if you don't have some sort of like velocity rule in place. You can only buy my doodads like five at a time, five in a day, five in a week, whatever, whatever, whatever. Well, every one of these addresses, each one of these addresses is in and of itself a unique address. Therefore, if you've got some sort of velocity rule in place saying, you can only buy one of my mugs, nondescript, non-branded mugs here, you can only buy like one a day at that address. Well, I just spin up five or six or eight or 30 manipulated versions of the same address. And I know that even if you're not doing normalization on your site, when it gets to the carrier, at the carrier level, all the way downstream, it's going to be normalized. Even if that doesn't happen, I know, hey, hey, wait a minute, Mr. Postman is going to be able to like look at this and say, oh, well, these idiots really meant blah, 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 and bring it to the right address. Remember that these idiots really meant da 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 theme, because that'll come back. But I think the first big one is getting around those velocity checks. In the same vein, right? You've got addresses on your deny list, like maybe some Portland-based addresses, which I've argued to you in the past you shouldn't do because there's a lot of good revenue going to these reshippers, but I get it. Maybe it's peak season. Is it peak season? I think something's happening in a few days. I don't know. We're not going to talk about it, right? No one's feeling the pressure. No one's doing manual reviews while they're on the fraudcast right now. Like there's no pressure going on right now, right? But maybe you've got SKUs, specific SKUs. Maybe you've got sales, specific sales. Maybe you got items, specific items that you don't want to go to freight forwarding addresses or known reshipper addresses, stuff like that. And you've got those addresses on a deny list. Once I figure that out, I can, you know, is it regex or regex? That's the big question. How do we say regular expression? But I could create a regex masterpiece and just kind of, say it without saying it, get around your little deny list. And then I put you into attack mode where you've got to say, if it's got a dot or if it's got a tilde or asterisk, or if it's this long or that long, then deny that. They're just making you spin your wheels because you're using deny lists and they're trying to get around them. And now you have to out deny them and da 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 da. So you get those first two flavors. Here's a variation on the second flavor, right? Instead of using garlic, we're using shallots here, my friend. Shallot, as they say across the pond, right? If the address that they're trying to get to is at 606 Carson Drive or 707 Carson Drive. Again, these are addresses that might ring a bell for you or raise a hair. I might put an address in that looks to be nearby, but is geographically wrong. Like there is no 708 Carson Drive. There is no 604 Carson Drive, but I get something close to it. And then, wait a minute, Mr. Postman says, oh, well, there's nothing at 604. They probably meant 606. Or there's nothing at 708. They probably meant 707. So I still get there without actually saying that I want to go there. Everyone on the same page with me, or is it, I'm sure y'all are sharper than I am, all right? I know you're thinking the same thing. So those are a couple of flavors. This one might be a little fun for you. If you've got drop shipping, if you've got distributors, if you've got like a broad network, even of warehouses, maybe privately owned warehouses, or maybe like that multi-vendor kind of thing where you've got a bunch of people who are selling your goods, you might see stuff like this. This is where collusion thrives, my friends. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the old pizza plug scam, but essentially I'm Vito. I own a pizzeria, kind of typecast there, right? Like if anyone's going to own a pizzeria, it's going to be the guy named Vito, right? I have a buddy, he's got a bunch of stolen credit cards. He is going to buy pizzas from my pizzeria, but every time he orders a pizza, he's going to give an address that has hashtag ship in it. That way I know I will take the payment, but not make the pizza. So I take the payment. I don't make the pizza, so I don't lose any material goods. I pocket the money. When that chargeback happens or whatever else, I say, "Oh, well, I shipped the pizza," or I'm shipped the pizza. I've been in e-commerce too long. I made the pizza. I sent it out. I lost stuff too. Like, I need my money back. I need insurance on this, da, da, da. I'm double dipping, right? So this is indicative of some sort of collusion. I've seen it with tildes. I've seen it with hashtag address, hashtag ship. It's just a way to tip the cap to the person on the inside saying, "Hey, don't take this off the warehouse shelf. Leave this one because this is that thing that I'm doing to steal from the business and really run like an insurance scam." Maybe you've seen this. Add it in the chat. Finally, okay, compromising your phone or chat agents. This is a fun one. If this is like a variation on the other themes or like building on the other themes. If I know that you don't want me going to a certain address, or if I've been using a certain address in a highly, you know, frequent manner that I could get tripped up in velocity checks, I might make a portmanteau address. There's my $10 word of the day, a portmanteau address. I'll shoehorn two addresses into one and I'll send it your way, especially on phone or chat. That way, your phone agent goes, "Well, hold on a second. I see you entered like this funky address and maybe you made a mistake. Which one did you actually mean?" "Oh, well, if we're looking at the first one, I actually meant 850 Maple Street in Middletown, not 1270. That's my mother-in-law's address." Right? Then the phone agent goes, "Okay, I'll do the correction for you. The order's already been evaluated. It already like passed a fraud check or whatever, or I'm the fraud check and I'm talking to you and you seem believable enough. Therefore, I'm just going to make the correction on my end." "Oh, thank you so much. I hate when this happens." This is a very common scam tactic, right? To get that good address in without them having to enter it and have it evaluated by a fraud check. Just confuse the person who does these things manually. We know that that's like a human nature, right? Sweet. So what can I do about it, Vito? This reads, and I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you so much. I never miss an opportunity to bring up a good bad movie. I feel like my friend Jared might know this movie. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here. Gleaming the Cube, a great like skateboarding movie, late 80s, early 90s. Essentially, gleaming the cube means like going above and beyond and like pushing it to the limits, right? I could have done an Eagles take it to the limit kind of reference here, but I'm going with what is this? Christian Slater, right? Taking things to the limit. I want to encourage you, even at this peak season time, even when things get crazy, even when they're hairy, to kind of think about taking things to the limit a little bit. The way to do that, clean your data set without introducing friction to your customers. It's going to yield a lot for you. It's going to put you ahead of the curve when it comes to address manipulation and dealing with fraudsters who use address manipulation. How does that work? Well, here's how it doesn't work. Don't do this. If your company is doing this, tell them to stop. Okay. This is friction and I was gonna say it F's you up, but this is a family podcast. Okay. This is friction and it messes you up. Why? Because if you're having people say, "Well, is this the address that you really meant?" and having it cleaned when it comes to you, you're missing out on that signal. You want the signal of them being manipulative. You want them to think that they're getting away with something because then they fall into your trap. But if it gets cleaned up here, you're never going to know what's happening. And it's just not good. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Do not do it. Okay. And it's pretty costly too. I'm sure you might have talked to people at your company and tried to get them to do it. And they're like, "Oh, well, it's really expensive." They're right, but they're right for the wrong reason. Okay. Post purchase address normalization is what you want to do. You want address manipulation that happens on the back end after the purchase is made, after the sale. And here's why. when this order comes in with this address, you're going to get one buyer on it, one card, one IP address if you're lucky, right? And there might be 1,000 variations on it. And what does that mean? Oh, well, now I have to stay up till 2 in the morning running crazy, looks and going through a spreadsheet to see each one of these. And I got to pivot table it out. Da 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 da. If you do post purchase address normalization, you wind up with the normalized address in your data set. And then you can see every order that was going to that address, all the different variations on it. And then from there, you can glean the insights that you're looking to glean, the networks of people who are trying to hit you, how many different cards are being used. Maybe there's a similarity. I can guarantee you there's a similarity among these things. Maybe it's bot driven orders. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're using a specific device type. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're all connected in some sort of way. Maybe they're all targeting some sort of like secondary address, or maybe they're all using some bin and it's really a bin attack. Maybe they're all going after the same kind of SKU. You can never really know this if you're just sifting through thousands and thousands of variations on the same address. Just go to the one address, right? How do you do this, Vito? You ask. I'm no salesperson, let alone a salesperson for Google. But Google's got the address validation API. I've got all the documentation here for you. It'll tell you if an address is real or not. It'll parse everything out for you. It'll show you even how the address that you're plugging into it or having read by it is manipulated. It'll put things into different categories for you. It's pretty fun. And look, I'm not a big numbers guy, believe it or not. I think it's pretty cheap. According to this, free cap, it says. I know no cap. I don't know what free cap means, right? But it's free to like the first 10,000, I think this is saying, right? And if I ran 500,000 addresses through it, I'll pay $481 a month. Kind of cheap, and I don't know if you're running 500,000 addresses through it in a month. It's something worth looking into to do this kind of stuff on the back end with your own data set. So you don't introduce the friction to the people while they're checking out because 98.9% of them are amazing people that you don't want to introduce friction to and you want to approve them, right? But after you do this, you can, take part in these top tips sponsored by the one and only Chef Gordon Ramsay, who loves to cook with shallots, like we just mentioned earlier. That includes the holistic investigation, the kind of thing I showed you with the icons before. Rather than going order by order and saying, well, this funky one did this funky thing and this funky one did that funky thing, how do we make an all day? How do we make a business case about a bit of fraud pressure that shows the order channel they're going through, how much money they're going after, how frequently they're doing these things, whether or not they're signing up, are they taking advantage of promo codes, etc., to get it all in one place instead of have to go through it a million times and realize you didn't put one or two columns in and now you got to go back and join these tables and da 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 da. Put it all in one place. Run a holistic investigation on it. From there, put your focus, your mitigation focus, your fraud fighting hat, focus it on the supporting signals, not on the address. Maybe the email type that they're using, maybe the device, or maybe there's frequency on that IP address. Maybe they're going after certain SKUs and trying to ship it to certain states, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's beyond the address. The address is just the red herring, my friend. The address is there to like trip us up in so many ways. So do a bit of post. I'll figure out how to say this by the end of this whole thing. Do a bit of post-purchase normalization. Run that holistic investigation. See what's actually going on, and then take those supporting signals, use those supporting signals to mitigate. I want to hear all about Jamie's wizardry. I always do. But it helps you avoid that regular expression, regex, regex, however you want to say it. That kind of crazy if then rule. If it's got this tilde, if it has $3 signs, but less than two, and if it's this long but not that long, and if it's got Delaware but not Oregon, you don't want to keep doing that because you'll never get ahead of it. And then you'll never know how to really define it. And then you'll never be able to cross thread about it. And then you get an F in the Susie School of Communications. Then you got to repeat the semester and you don't want to do that. So all of this stuff, I believe, helps you get a 30,000 foot view of it while drilling down to the very bottom. and mitigating in an effective way. But that 30,000-foot view is what's important in our world because that's how you can tell the story to the rest of the business, make a case for you and your team, get promoted, and give everybody amazing gifts this holiday season. So what 4, do 9, use 7, think 0 about that? I'd love to hear about it, and I definitely need a little sip of this water bottle while you all think about things and talk among yourselves. Cheers.
Hey Vito, question for you.
My brother,
So
how are you?
I'm well, I hope you are. Um, so this seems like, and this is where some of my ignorance is going to come through, but this seems somewhat like a fuzzy matching logic. Is that what Google is doing or using kind of like yeah, like a fuzzy matching where they see the enumerations or the manipulation and they're able to, I guess, kind of clean that up and tell you what the legit address is. Is that what we're talking about?
We're on the same page, all right? I am no data scientist. If I was a data scientist, I say, "Well, actually, Matthew, they use,
Yeah,
G4 instead of G8." But yes,
yeah,
it's saying in layman's terms, like how close is this
yeah.
to this address? The website, if you just Google, if you Google Google's address normalization API, they show you all the work that they do, and they're able to just like parse out every element of that address, like the street number, you know, the curb number, the unit number, da 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 da, and it kind of cleans it all up, and then from there it'll engage in a bit of that fuzzy matching. Did you mean this, right? Instead of doing it that way, it'll show you. And it'll also kind of score for you how manipulated it is. Did somebody just fat finger something? If I live at 1 Main Street and there's only one house on Main Street and I'm at 11 Main Street, is that as manipulated as like one main, like with 19 A's and
Yeah.
14 I's? Like that's a little more manipulated than 11 Main Street. So it'll do that for you too. Because you don't want some sort of logic in place where you say, if this address is manipulated, then kaput, right? Because people do fat finger. And I mean, you know, even here in Amarillo, like there's new housing units being put up every day, new streets with ridiculous names being, paved every day. So how quickly can something really respond to that? There's always going to be addresses that seem a little wacky.
So I don't want to monopolize the time, but what so years ago we saw a lot of that address manipulation. And what ended up happening is nowadays when we look at stuff, instead of manipulating the address, they just simply put apartment 1, 2, 3, 4 embedded in the address link. So it doesn't look, you know, from the naked eye, it doesn't look like it's been manipulated. They've just thrown that in there as a way to maybe try to make it look more residential, which I thought was interesting. But my question, Vito, real quick, this will be my last one, I promise, is does Signifyd already do this? So, like, if we're using Signifyd as our primary fraud tool, um, are they doing this for us, or do we need to take what you're saying and begin to apply that? Can you give me some guidance on that piece?
If you're rocking and rolling with Signifyd, you're covered. And it goes
Okay.
I was even when I was I love y'all, your family to me, but I didn't give you all the trade secrets, right? Because there's
Gotcha.
also, I'm not the sharpest. You don't want me even attempting to do the trade secret stuff because I'll be like, when the Ramistan is framed up by the Spedplex, and like it just won't even come out right, right? There's chained models. There's models that are just built on addresses. I see that Shelly said using FedEx database. You can take databases like that. You can also take satellite imagery, roof analyses. We have a database of roof analyses that look in a satellite and can see whether or not a roof is like, I don't know, asphalt like mine, and I'm a human who lives in a residential place, or one of them gigantic warehouse type roofs. I'm not a roofing guy. I'm more of a junior carpenter slash like plumbing guy. But there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of models that are created on top of that to all derive different scores. Those models are always moving around and doing very data sciencey things. If you're rocking and rolling with Signifyd or any provider who purports to do this kind of work, I definitely recommend you reach out, talk to your account manager, anyone like that, and be like, I'm curious about this. Vito piqued my interest. I want to know what the secret sauce is like. So please. embark on that. But you're rocking and rolling. And Matthew, for the last time, I never want you to apologize for getting on the mic. We all love to hear your voice. Okay, we truly do.
Thank you. You're making me blush right now, Peter.
Hey,
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
how are we all thinking about this how we all thinking about this stuff? I studied English for many years to pull that one out of my mouth, right? Ben, who is kind of you know, the captain of this conversation here. You started this. This is your fault. Ben says, we had a fraud group start all addresses with NO or TO right before the house number 3 years ago. Did you feel like there was something collusive going on there? Like, was there any sort of like tip off? Is that a possibility in your ecosystem at all for people to kind of like tip off somebody to not take something off a warehouse shelf at all?
It was it was definitely product diversion or probably using stolen cars because we were getting chargebacks. And these people that called us said, oh, they never heard of our company. And so I don't know what was going on there to cause that to happen. Um, but yeah, as soon as uh we called these people about these orders, they're like, yeah, we didn't place anything. And so we tried to stop as many of those orders as we can. But
Follow-up question for you, Ben. Did you see that NO and TO just in the delivery address? Or and did
yeah,
you see it in the cool? Because I'm
yeah,
they
just
tend
shipping address.
they tend to stay away from that billing address because then you get the AVS kind of hiccup, right?
Yeah.
I know someone else in here has dealt with this. I see Jared giving a little scratch of the chin, a little wag of the head. You've seen this before, my brother. I feel like you have.
Yeah, totally. I actually have a question for everyone here. So, in terms of in like e-commerce, right? So some like fraudsters will learn the addresses of some customers. So for example, I worked for a marketplace. A fraudster would create an account, pretend to sell something, a legit buyer would buy something. They would get the shipping label, they don't end up shipping anything. But sometimes they'll learn that like an actual customer will live at an apartment complex. And so what happens is they create those fake buyer profiles using the apartment complex because they know that legit customers live there, and then the company won't like put the whole apartment complex on a blacklist because they'll see that there's good buyers there. I'm curious how how anyone handles that type of situation.
I can jump in on
Marcy,
that.
let's go. Let's go.
Um, sorry, my dog's barking in the background. So when we would review our cases, a lot of times we actually would use White Pages Pro and just to validate what addresses were actually registered to certain people. So yeah, when you come across those apartment buildings where you have like, there's some apartment buildings that probably have over 100 apartments. So you're like, how the heck am I going to find this actual person? Um, just kind of, at least for when we were doing it, definitely just double checking in what addresses were registered to what people. A lot of those ones we would have to probably flag it down and do some further investigation. What phone numbers were tied to these addresses, what other people were tied to these addresses, just to kind of go from there. So I don't know. That's what we did, and it sometimes worked. So yeah.
There's got to be somebody else who did something there. And I'm going to shut myself up because I want to say so much stuff, but I talk way too much. They call me motor mouth.
Vito, I'll chime in, and Jared, I don't know all the details, right? But what I would say is we have seen that too. We've seen it also with college campuses where you'll have fraudsters using like a mule, a college kid to make some money. And what we've tried to do is avoid messing the address up at all. And we've looked at things like IP, device ID, other variables to try to make a better concerted effort so that we don't create false positives down the road. So that would be my 2 cents on that one.
I want to piggyback on what Matthew just said. This was kind of the thrust of my presentation just now. And I know it got kind of debased a little bit by Gordon Ramsay, right? I went too far in that. But it's almost not about the address, and we get hung up in the address because it looks so funky to us, and we maybe feel a little bit of like a personal affront. How dare you get funky with this address? How dare you do some sort of like ASCII art on the address? Oh, I'm smarter than you, right? But to Matt's point, I'm calling you Matt now, Matthew. I'm sorry there. All due
We're just that close, Vito. But you just call me whatever you want to call me. It's okay.
I'm having a wild one today, y'all. As Matthew says, right? There's all these supporting characteristics. I'd love to just, I take a page out of I saw Brian come in for a second, and then I saw Jessica come in, but I saw Brian Davis come in for a second. It's the Brian Davis playbook, though. We're all just acolytes here. I'm one of them, right? I go user experience on all of this stuff and not the funky signals. What order channel are they coming through? How much money are they looking to spend? Are they logged in or not? What kind of CLTV do we have on these people? Then we can threshold out from there. Then we can we should be tighter here and not there, etc. If they fall into a bucket that is like high risk already, maybe some of those go to manual review. Maybe some of them, get a little, maybe there's a mini rule just in that little bucket. And if not, maybe we've got to reevaluate how we're thresholding things or reevaluate how we're letting people in the front door to begin with. So look away. Last thing I'll say, quantum physics, my friend. Obviously studied quantum physics for many years, right? But I think it's the electron, the proton, one of those tons. You can't look right at it. You'll never know how fast it goes. You got to look at the other stuff. Quantum non-locality, they call it. Drop that one at your next cocktail party and see how many people still want to talk to you. Quantum non-locality. Don't look directly at the address. Look at everything around it, and then you'll see how things are moving. On that note, I'll shut up.
We're using the multiple levels, but I'm not even using it on the front end purchase because I'm not seeing issues with the chargebacks on those. I'm having issues with returns and refunds. So that's my big piece. So I'm using the multiple layers of 1 through 5. And if it hits any of these, it cancels it. And it won't do the return. Or process a manual. We have to process a manual refund for the return when they do it. So we use a system where the customer can just create their own return, and it gets them a FedEx label and they drop it off. So we run all of the addresses through our database that runs through FedEx to fix it, to make sure that we are getting the right information. And then there's an email address, there's a dollar threshold, there's how many orders they've placed. So if it's a large dollar order and it's their very first order ever and they are returning everything, they're flagged. So like all these different layers. And now we're seeing a lot on the back end we're stopping the return fraud. I'm getting empty packages at my warehouse, and I'm no longer getting empty packages. And they get a little note that says, if you would like to create a return, please email the loss prevention team at Peloton. That's me.
Good luck.
Right? And they're not getting through. So yeah, that's what we're using it, instead of using it as the initial purchase. Please buy things. I want you to, because I'm not seeing the chargebacks or the concerns. What I'm seeing is the return fraud. And so then I'm like, yeah, but you can't return it. I'm not refunding you. Sorry.
Clip this, print it out, laminate this. Okay. This is the way that things need to be done in 2026. Shelley just mapped it all out brilliantly. I learned this all from you guys too. All right. But there is no, universal logic that is going to catch this. It needs to be bracketed out in the way that Shelley described and looked outside of just the checkout. Pre-purchase, post-purchase, right? Different ways of doing these things. Stopping returns, fraud, and abuse, stopping people from spinning up a million different accounts. It all helps. Brilliant stuff, Shelley. Always brilliant stuff. And the chat is getting brillante too. We've got our own Jessica Flores back from sabbatical. This is the same type of fraud I came back to with the new system. Man, they really did you a number there, Jessica, with this new system. Working on creating new rules to help mitigate fraud and let the good orders through. Brilliant. I think you got some great ideas to run with that. And hopefully you got some cheat codes from this session here today. Jamie brings up a bunch of great points. Watch out for zip codes that map to multiple cities and states. People also do this to like play around with tax. I'm sure, contractors never look to get around like taxes and stuff like that. Every contract, I was raised by an unlicensed contractor, by the way, so that should tell you a lot about me. Every contractor's on the up and up, right? They would never do that kind of stuff. And that's a really nice cross-threadable thing too. Hey, RevOps. Hey, finance. Did you know that we're paying too much tax or not enough tax? Because these orders that are purportedly going to Texas are actually going to Oklahoma, where taxation is a whole lot different, et cetera. So great stuff here. Great stuff. I want to hear more from you in the 4 minutes we've got here. What, even if it's not related to address manipulation, I don't wanna be like, "It's Black Friday, Cyber Monday," but it is. It is. We can't pretend like it's not. Are you seeing a little bit of, like, wild style stuff already? Are you seeing, like, shockingly low numbers? Like, where did people go? Are you seeing, God forbid, the Chat GPT agent or the Amazon Buy For Me agent or all that stuff? Or is that just, like, a joke? Is that real? What are you feeling? What do you hear? What do you say, as they say in the old mob movies?
So I have one more that's related to manipulation, but this one, we got it earlier this year, and we're able to put a stop to it. And it was a drop shipper of ours. That was the connection. So the items weren't supposed to be coming back to us; they were supposed to be going back to the drop shipper, and they never told us that they weren't getting them because of an error in communication. The person was manipulating the return FedEx label. So they create the return FedEx label and then get it scanned in. And as soon as you scanned, the refund was issued. And it was like literally you could see the creation of the return and then the refund happened immediately when it should have been shipped. And we ended up turning it over to FedEx because it was part of an insurance claim with them and to let them play in that field. But it was really interesting. I probably had 30 orders, all these two specific really high end items, and they knew exactly what they're doing. And I monitor it constantly. And I was able to stop a lot of the orders once we found what was happening, but we still have no idea because FedEx won't share their dark, dirty secrets with me. We just got the money back from the insurance claim. But yeah, we still have no idea what they were doing on that level to manipulate the return address and get the refund. So I'd watch out for those automatic refund at package received. It's something I'm trying to get away from.
Little Bob's Book action there. That's that Bob's
Yep.
Book fun stuff. And you don't suspect anything with the drop shipper. It was just kind of like,
Yeah, no, we don't expect, we didn't suspect anything with the drop shipper because it happened to be two separate drop shippers from two separate companies. And so it was very interesting. And they were going back and we were getting charged for them, which is how we figured out part of the issue. And they're like, well, no, we had this as a return. And then it wasn't anywhere.
I think we've really taken this conversation to the next level because it's maybe less, even though Ben's seeing it and we're definitely seeing it at checkout, it seems to be a bigger issue at return now, at least from using this nose of mine. I'm sniffing that, it's a big return issue now. So you see this all over your LinkedIn and you get it all in your inbox. And I'm not trying to be another one of these guys, but you know what comes next after the holidays is the big returns glut. It's November 19th. Put that in the back of your cap. I know you're gonna like eat yourself into a stupor. I'm gonna eat myself into a stupor next week, and I might forget a lot of these things. But luckily, it's gonna be on Spotify for you, and you'll remember this conversation. And when all the returns come up, or maybe before the returns come up, you can do the sort of logic that Shelly was talking about, where you look at CLTV, you look at order amount, you look at first time purchase, all these kind of things, and then figure out whether or not you're going to give that instant refund, how you're going to appease these people, whether or not you even want to deal with them whatsoever. It's nice to kind of start that thinking now. I'm not trying to like fear you into it though. Like, let's all take a deep breath, as Narav told us last week. We got a lot of stress going on, right? Guys, we're at the last minute. Okay. And I just want to say, Jessica, you don't have to come on camera. You don't have to come off mute or anything like that. What a blessing it is to have Jessica back. What a blessing it is for me to have all of you here. I love these conversations. I love our guests. I love our guests. But I love when we're having like a little chop up family sesh like this too. All right. Come on out to the Slack channel. Everyone who's posting in there, everyone who's emojiing in there and everything like that, it's a blast. Don't tell my employer, but I like hanging out in my side Slack more than I like hanging out in my work Slack. No one will hear this, right? I love it, but I love all of you. So thank you so much. I hope you find a little bit of peace in this next week. Reach out in that side Slack if you're looking for help. We're all here for you. We clearly are. You've seen it before. And until then, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed rest of your week. Y'all are the light in my life. Thank you so much. Next Wednesday, we'll be chopping it up and probably talking a little bit more about the wild stuff we're seeing. I hope you don't see wild things. I just hope you have all that up and to the right of goodness and down into the whatever direction of badness, right? So until next week, my friends, have a beautiful one. You're the best. Take care. And Jessica, welcome back, my friend.